I'm super excited to introduce to you guys today Angie Jones. Angie Jones is a repeat presenter for us. She was at the last SauceCon, and we're super excited to have her again. She is a senior software engineer at Twitter. She's developed automation strategies and frameworks for countless software products. She's also a master inventor, and she's known for her innovative and out-of-the-box thinking, and she has more than 20 patented inventions in the US and China. She's also an adjunct college professor. She teaches Java programming, and she's a strong advocate for diversity in technology and volunteers with organizations like Tech Girls and Black Girls Code. So please, woohoo, join me in welcoming Angie up.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you out there. This is my information. I blog about automation techniques at angiejones.tech. So if you're not subscribed, I recommend that you do so. I promise I won't spam you, only sending you new content, valuable information about automation. Also, I'm on Twitter at techgirl1908. If you'd like to follow me, that's cool. If you want to tweet out while I'm talking, my boss likes that kind of thing, so that'll be dope too. All right? What I'm going to talk about today is which tests should we automate? All right? How many people think that we should automate all the things? Raise your hand. Jason. Couple of hands. Okay, cool. Hopefully I can talk you out of that before you leave today. But most of the practitioners, so most of the people in the room realize that, yeah, I probably shouldn't be automating all the things, but I don't know what necessarily to take out of the bucket of things that I want to automate. Also, I see a lot of managers who want all the things automated, right? So they're not crazy. They actually have noble intentions. What they want to do is help us to release quicker and help testing not be the bottleneck. And so what they're trying to do is eliminate that regression cycle. And they think the way to do that is by automating all of the tests. However, how many of you know with that comes some problems, right? So for those who raised your hand and for those who have managers who might be pushing you, I want to give you some points that you can bring to them, okay? Now, in automating all the things, one issue that we see is with maintenance, right? So automation requires maintenance, and yet this seems to be something that a lot of managers don't necessarily know about. They're not really aware of this. They seem to think we automate it once, it's out there, it's working forever. Not really the case, right? So especially when we're automating against active products, which most of us typically are. So we're automating against this moving target that's constantly changing, right? And with that, we'll need to update our automation scripts as well. That's just the nature of the beast. In fact, one of the projects I'm working on right now, the developers are going crazy and changing the application. And I'm trying to keep up with them with new tests, but a lot of my time is going towards maintenance as well. Also, we use our own tools, our own libraries. Those things need to be updated as well. So we have to factor in time for that. Another issue, time. So when you have lots of automation, you've automated all the things, that's going to require lots of time with execution. So the more tests we have, usually the longer that's going to take to run. Sure, we can run them in parallel, but still, you have that time that it takes to debug this stuff. So if it fails, let's say I have 5 streams going and I have failures across all 5, I need to look at all 5 of those streams, right? And there may be dozens of failures across each one. So each one of these tests that fail, I need to dig through it. I'm not necessarily sure if it's the automation code, if it's the production code. So all of these factors come into play. And the more tests we have, the more of this that it'll take, right? And then another issue is the noise. So how many times have you had a developer check in some code, and 50 tests failed. And the check-in wasn't but so big, right? And they're like, no way I could have broken 50 different things with that small check-in. They're right, they didn't break 50 different things. You have 50 tests that are kind of running the same thing, same paths. And so they need to still go through each one of those 50 to make sure that it's not a unique issue across the 50. All right? So those are some of the reasons why you probably shouldn't automate all the things. And what I recommend is automating the right things. But how do we know what's the right things to automate? Okay? So I don't have a hard and fast rule for you, but I do have a guide, a model that I've developed and I use to help me figure out what to automate. All right? So I'm going to go through that today. We're going to look at the Twitter app. How many people are not on Twitter? Ew. All right, I need y'all to fix that pretty soon, okay? You are missing out on life. But, yeah. So we're going to do the Twitter app today. You have a sheet of paper with the scenarios in front of you, right? Okay, so these are the scenarios we're going to look at. Specifically, we're going to look at the profile feature on Twitter. All right? Now, usually when I do this talk, I'll have you to gauge this stuff yourself and go through it. I don't have that much time today, okay? So I'm going to go through my thoughts on it. And if you have something that differs, feel free to write it on your paper, okay? Because we could have different views. I like to do this exercise not only by myself, but with other team members, with my tester, with my developer, with people from product, because you get different views and different perspectives. And this is a subjective exercise, all right? All right, so bear with me. The first column on your sheet represents your gut feeling. Okay? Now, you don't have to do this when you take this back to the office, but this is for today. I just kind of check, what do I feel in my gut? Do I think I should automate this or not? All right? So if you want to take like 30 seconds to a minute to go ahead and check those off, that'll be cool, and then I'll share with you what I have. If you don't know anything about Twitter, you might want to work with your partner. And I'm so sorry, I'm going to rush you all through this because, yeah, I want you to get to your next session. All right, so here are my thoughts on this. Adding a tweet, I think that's a pretty core feature of the application. If something goes wrong with that, I think we're up a creek. So I said, yeah, gut feeling, I'm going to go ahead and automate that one. Viewing tweets. Yeah, I think that's pretty important as well. Some people come just to read, not necessarily to write. So I'm going to automate that as well. Pinning a tweet. Yeah, I think I want to pin a tweet. So I'm going to go ahead and automate that. Following a user seems pretty important. So, yep, I'll go ahead and put that on the list. Setting a handle or username. So this is what people do when they first sign up. Yeah, I think we should be able to do that. That's how people talk with one another. So, yep, I'm going to automate that. Setting a location. So this is just basically like text data, not necessarily used for much other than presentation. So I don't think I'm going to automate that one. Okay, just a gut feeling. Updating my handle so I can change my username at any time. Sure, why not? Let's automate that. Blocking a user. Anybody on Twitter knows that you definitely want this thing to work, right? So I'm going to go ahead and automate that. View the analytics of a tweet, right? So this one, at first I thought maybe not because a lot of people don't even know that that exists. Did you all know that you can view the analytics on a single tweet? But you also have information at the bottom, like the likes and the retweets. So I don't know if you really need to, but then I thought about, well, there may be people who use Twitter not just for entertainment, but for advertising and promoting themselves. So, let's go ahead and throw that one in there. And then balloons appearing on the birthday. How many people say, let's keep that one? I see one thumbs down. Anyone else? Thumbs down? Good, good. You are on my tribe, okay? So, funny story. I was working with a tester who brought this to me and said, yeah, I think we should automate this one. And I'm like, what? So I'm going to say no, but let's see. I could be wrong, all right? So this is just my gut. Anybody disagree with anything I got here? Okay, all right, cool. So this is my gut feeling, but I like to take it through the model. So I'm going to take you through some different criteria to look at, and let's see if everything lines up to what I think it should. All right? So the next thing that I look at is the risk. And the way I calculate risk is the probability, meaning the frequency of use by the customers. So how frequently do they use this feature? And then I score that on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 meaning not that frequently, 5 meaning very frequently. And then I multiply that score by the impact. So if it's broken, what's the impact to the customers? 1, low impact, 5, high impact. Okay? All right? So I'm going to walk you through, get your thoughts together. But this is what I'm thinking. So for the first one, the bottom, it says, if broken, what's the impact to customers? All right? Okay. So here's my thoughts on that. I said, okay, add in a tweet, high probability, and then also high impact to customers. So that'll be a 5 times a 5, and that'll be a 25 for adding a tweet. For viewing tweets, I'm thinking also high probability, high impact, 25. For pinning a tweet, probably not used as frequently, maybe about a 3. And impact to customers, so if that was broken, will we have to shut down? I don't think so. I think we'll be okay. So maybe that's about a 3 as well. So for that one, I have a 9. Following a user. So that one, high probability, so everybody's following people. But the impact, high impact, but I don't think all the way to the 5 level, right? I don't think I wouldn't be able to not use the service. So I rate that one a 4, giving me a 20 for that. Set the handle or the username. I said for probability, that one, set the probability. Yeah, the probability, so the frequency. I have that one a 4. So I know everyone has to do it initially, but after that, you don't really mess with it much. So that one I have 4, and then impact a 5, giving me a 20. And set location. So probability, you usually set that one once as well, or not. Some people don't even set it at all. A lot of people actually don't, so they don't want people to know where they are. So I put that one as a 1. And impact is also extremely low, so I put that as a 1. So that gives me a 1 for set location. Update handle, 1 for probability, and 3 I said for impact. Blocking a user, I have 4 for the probability. So it's used frequently, but not like a daily kind of thing. And then impact, very high. If I can't block someone who's harassing me, then I no longer want to use the service, right? So that's a 20. And then viewing the analytics of a tweet, probability is really low. People don't really do this. This is a 1. And then the impact, if I couldn't, like I said, I thought about the users who might be using this for promoting. So I gave it a little bit more weight. And that was a 1 times 3, which gives me a 3. And then the balloons appearing on the birthday. Do y'all even know what this feature is? Have you seen it? All right. So let's say it's your birthday, right? If you told Twitter what your birthday was, this is not required, so you don't have to, right? But if you set your birthday in Twitter, and then I happen to come on your profile on your birthday, balloons will fly up, animated balloons, right? All right, so that's the feature. You don't know. This is your birthday. You don't know if the balloons worked or not, you know, and I surely don't care if the balloons came up for your birthday or not. So I got a 1 on that one. All right? Okay. So looking at this, do we see anything interesting so far? Anyone see anything interesting based on our gut feeling compared to the risk?
A couple are off.
Couple that are off, which ones? Maybe number 7 and number 9. So that one is low, like a 3, and yet our gut says to go ahead and automate that. Okay.
Number 3, right? Maybe even number 3.
Maybe. Number 3 is a 9, so still not very high. Okay. All right. So some we see that are high, and we have those checked. That's a good thing. The ones that are all the way at the bottom, we said no, so that seems right on track. But there are a few that are we're uncertain about, right? That could go the other way. All right, let's keep going and see what we find. So the next thing that I look at is value. The way I measure this is the distinctness. So does this test provide new information? How new is the information that this test is going to provide me? And then also induction to action. So if this test failed, we had a bug, how quickly would that bug be fixed, right? So would the developers feel that they need to jump on this right away? All right? So that's my measurement for value. Let's see what I got here. So adding a tweet, I thought was 5 on distinctness. This is new. And 5 on induction to action, 25. And I kind of look at it in comparison to these other test cases that are up here. Viewing a tweet, this one also distinct and seems like it'll cause some churn at the office. So this one is a 25. Pinning a tweet. So this one I said, well, in order to pin a tweet, I have to be able to view a tweet, right? So if I can't view a tweet, then pinning a tweet would break. So it's not necessarily a 5 on distinctness, but it still gives me some new information. So for that one, I said, okay, that'll be a 4 on distinct. And then for induction to action, how quickly would they fix this? Probably about a 4 as well. So that's a 16. And then following a user, that seems new. And also seems like something people will jump to fix, so that's a 25. Setting the handle in the username. Also, new information. People would want to fix that because if that's broken, we can't get new users signed up. So that's pretty important. 25. Set location. That one I said, okay, that's new information. So that's a 5. However, if it broke, I don't think people would care that much. I mean, they care, but not that much, right? It might not get fixed today kind of thing. So that was fairly low. I said a 2, giving me a 10 for set location. Updating the handle. So this one, I said about a 3 on distinctness because I already had that set handle one. So it's kind of like the same area. I would have to set it before I could update it. But I still get something a little bit new, so that'll be a 3. And induction to action. People don't really update their handles that often, so probably wouldn't be the highest of priorities. That would also be a 3, giving me a 9. Block a user. Again, important, and we would jump on that. So that's a 25. Analytics of a tweet. So that's new information. But again, it went to the whole view tweet piece, so I gave it a 4 on distinctness, and then induction to action, a 2, giving me an 8. And then the balloons, it is new information, I have to admit. However, if it was broken, I don't think anyone would really care. So that one is a 5, all right? What do we see here? Anything interesting here? Compared to our gut. So 6 and 7 was interesting to me. So 6 I have as a value of 10, but I have a gut instinct that I probably wouldn't automate this. And yet 7 is lower than 10 on the value. It's a 9, and I have it that I would automate this. So that was interesting. Also, number 8 is in the bucket to automate. So it's getting interesting. It's kind of challenging my gut, and that's good. All right? So the next one is cost efficiency. So for this one, I look at how quickly can I automate this test versus how easy will it be to automate this. So sometimes things might be easy to do, but it's a lot of steps to it, so it could take a long time, or sometimes vice versa. All right? So looking at cost efficiency, for the first one, pretty simple to do and pretty quick to do it as well. So for that one, I gave a 25. For viewing tweets, not as quick, but still quick enough. But it's pretty easy, so I did a 4 and then a 5, giving me a 20. For pin a tweet, that one is not as quick as you might think. So there's a lot that goes on to that one. It's easy to do, but it takes a bit of time. So for that one, I did a 3 on quickness and a 5 on ease, giving me a 15. Follow a user, that one I have 25. Setting the handle or the username, also 25. Setting the location, quick and easy, 25. Updating the handle, not as quick and also not as easy, so I did it is, sorry. So updating the handle is quick and easy as well, so 25. And then blocking the user, that one is the one that's not as quick, not as easy. So that one's a 16. And then the analytics of a tweet, also not that quick and easy. I gotta populate a lot of data and have to take into account that someone might interact with that tweet during the testing time, yada, yada, yada. So that one I gave 3 and 3, giving me a 9. And then the balloons, that one is, why do y'all laugh every time I talk about these balloons? So the balloons, this one would actually probably be quick to automate, but not very easy. So like I said, it's animated and yada, yada, yada. So there could be a lot that goes on in setting the person's birthday and blah, blah, blah. So that one I had a 15, all right? So let's look at what we have here compared to our gut. What stands out? Number 6, right away we see. So that one is really high on cost efficiency, and yet we have that in the X bucket. Anything else interesting? The balloons one is a 15. We have some that are lower than 15, like number 9, and yet that one is 10 is excluded and 9 is included. So we got some interesting data here. The last category that I look at is the history. So I look at basically the bug backlog. I look at how similar is this feature to other areas that have broken in the past, like is it in the same feature area? And then I also look at the frequency of breaks of this particular test case. So maybe it has failed manually before, all right? So given that, I also have down at the bottom, I have a little sample there. This is not real info, just some stuff I made up. But let's say that this was the backlog count. For setting the location, I have 51 bugs, updating the handle 27, editing location 60, pinning a tweet 2, and viewing tweets 10. So given this information, let's see what we come up with, all right? So for adding a tweet, there's nothing there in the bug about adding a tweet. I didn't do the 1-in-1 for that one. When it's just nothing there for this historical piece, I'll go ahead and put a 0 right there. So that one's a 0. For viewing the tweets, let's see. We have 10 bugs in the backlog for viewing the tweets, right? And so I can do the frequency of breaks. If I look at that volume compared to other volume areas, it's not extremely high. It's probably like a 3-ish. So I would do a 3 there, and then there are no other similar areas to that, so that'll be a 1 on the similar, giving me a 3 right there. Pinning a tweet, we see 2 tweets, 2 pin tweet bugs there, and viewing tweets, also kind of same area. So for that one, I did 1 and 1. Following a user, 0. Setting the handle and the username. So for setting the handle, I said that there is updating the handle there, which is a similar feature area. So for that one, I said about 3 based on that volume. And then frequency of breaks, so that one gives me a 3. Set location, I see 51 bugs for setting location. And then also, there's another area around location editing that also has a high volume of bugs. So this gives me a 5 and a 5, 25 on setting location. Updating the handle, I did 1 for similar to weak areas, and then a 4 for frequency of breaks because of that 27 count. And then the rest of these, I don't have any bugs, so they're zeros, all right? So here's my history. Again, look at that set location is standing out to me, right? Some of these ones that are zeros, we have check marks next to those. So how do we determine what to do at this point? I go ahead and I add all of these things up, and that gives me a score, which is in the final column, all right? So you can see the scores there. Look like it ranges from 20 to 75, all right? Okay, so given those scores, I then have a guide. If it falls between 67 and 100, I say this is a definite candidate for automation. Go ahead and automate that thing. If it is 33 or below the bottom third, don't automate it. And then everything in the middle, that's that third that's in the middle, is possibly automated. So this gives me a little bit of flexibility where I can use context of the problem and other things that are not represented in this model to take into consideration. What also is so wonderful about this is, let me show you this again, I can then sort this thing. So now I have all of the things that I want to automate sorted by priority. Now I have a priority score given to these things. So I know where to start. A lot of times we start at the low-hanging fruit, but that might not necessarily be the thing that's best or what we most need. So this gives us what we most need, okay? So some things that I found, oh, where am I? Yeah, some things that I found interesting. You can't see the colors on here, they're not showing up. But 1, 2, 4, and 5, that's the green. So those are the things we definitely automate. Those are the things that are in the top third. 3, 6, 7, and 8 are the yellow. And those are the things that's in the middle that we might possibly automate, maybe. And then 9 and 10 are the red that we will not automate, all right? So given that, some interesting things here. Based on my gut, I said that we would automate 8 of the 10 tests, 80%. But there's only half of that that really fell into that definitely automate bucket. So that was a wake-up call. Also, number 9, so viewing the analytics of the tweet, right? So we see that one has a low score of 20, but we said that we would have automated it. So that let me know, like, okay, I'm a little bit off, a little bit rusty on my gut reactions. Setting a location. This one we said we wouldn't automate, but this has a score of 61. Now this is one of those maybe, so we could still be right, but it's a high maybe. So you might want to look at that one a little bit closer. And then also interesting was number 6 and number 8 had the same score. One of them I said I wouldn't have automated, and one of them I said I would have, right? And I wouldn't think something like setting a location and blocking a user would have the same value, right? I wouldn't think that. But when we look at all of the criteria, there are more things than just our gut reaction. So for example, setting a location is low on risk and value. However, it's really easy and quick to do. And plus, we have a lot of history of this area failing. So it makes sense. Blocking a user, no history of that failing. That works like a charm, and it has a high value and high risk. About medium for cost efficiency. Okay? I'll take questions at the end. Okay. And then updating the handle, this one, really cost efficient to do. So a lot of times we get stuck right there. This is a 25 on cost efficiency, but that makes up the bulk of its score. It only has a 41. So updating the handle, sometimes we go after these easy, low-hanging fruit. It might not necessarily be the right thing to do. All right? So Dorothy Graham, how many of you know Dorothy? Good. So Dorothy Graham, if you don't know her, you might want to look her up. She's a pioneer in the automation space, has a lot of good content and books around automation. She took this workshop once, and she loved it so much that she went and made like a little spreadsheet to help with the calculations and yada, yada, yada. So you can download my slides, and this is a clickable link that'll give you her spreadsheet. So you can use this and take that back to work. And so that's it. Make good choices as you're deciding what you want to automate. All right, good luck to you, and I can probably take like 1 or 2 questions, but wait for the mic to come.
I'm just really interested that history has the same value as risk, basically, or that they're all, you could say it more broadly, that they're all the same value. Because risk seems key to me, but I'm just interested in your insight there.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair point. But if you also notice, the scores on history typically are very low. Even if something has a big bug count, if it doesn't have other affected areas, let's say that this part just always keeps breaking. If it doesn't have other affected areas, the most that it'll get is a 5. So that kind of balances out the weight of this. Most of these are like 0, 3, 1, 5. There was only the one that ended up being 25 because it's broken and everything around it is broken as well. So that elevated that score. Make sense? Yep. All right.
I was wondering if you have any, the one thing that I was seeing that was missing was the amount of code churn and the maintenance costs that you referenced in the beginning when you have an area that has a lot of stuff coming in all the time, and how that might affect your decision.
That's a good point. So I think that comes into play when we talk about history as well, but you might not have that history at the very beginning when you decide this. So you may have to revisit these at some point and say, does the score change based on new information that I have? And that could be updated. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes? Wait for the mic.
So a lot of the values you used for the calculation is based on gut feeling, I would say. Like, could you use something more analytical, like the analytics to check how many people are actually logging in for a particular locale, so that you have more analytical approach to this metrics?
Right. So when you use things like the risk, and we talk about the frequency of people using this feature. So on the fly, I kind of gave like, oh, yeah, I think this. But of course, like I said earlier, you want to bring other people into the conversation. That's why I don't want to do it by myself. I want product here. I want test here. They'll all be able to give some additional insight. People like product, they have analytics. So they can pull this up, right? And they'll say, and they have told me like, oh, something that I thought like, oh, I know everybody uses it this way. And analytics was like, product was like, no, based on the analytics, nobody does that. They use it this way. So that's a really good point. You want to involve those people who have more concrete data so that it's not just based on your gut feeling. Maybe one more question? Yes?
Actually, you know what? Actually, it's
Welcome.
11:25. I think I don't want you guys to miss your other break.
Okay.
Can you guys grab Angie during
Yeah,
the
I'll
break?
be around all day.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Angie.
you.
Great job.